The remarkable Flamingo Bucking for GBB and VSR-Systems achieved a very good reputation over the years. In my recent comparison test video, my findings also support why it is often recommended as a great all-round bucking, both on the short and long distances. It stood its ground very well against the competition. The biggest downside, however, was this bucking has only been available for GBB and VSR sniper systems until early 2026, when manufacturer Sniper Mechanics released the brand new AEG version of the Flamingo Bucking. Wanna see how it performs? I tested it for you. Stay tuned. The AEG version of the Flamingo Bucking for sure is one of the more exciting airsoft releases this year, and as some of you wished for a review, I bought one of them so we could take a closer look together. There is no sponsoring or whatever happening in the background, just as an additional information for all those out there who recently claimed some of my videos are biased or something. I just can repeat what is really important for me to let you know. Every single one of my videos reflects my own, not manipulated opinion, no matter if I paid for the actual product or not. If I don't like something, I will comment on this the very same way as if I do like something. And this will be the case as long as I run this channel. Okay, time for the Flamingo AEG bucking now. Talking about my first impression, it seems that the material chosen is the very same that also is used on the original GBB variant. It feels kinda rough compared to classic NBR buckings. Obviously, there is only one grade of hardness available so far. Other than on the GBB Flamingo, there is no additional sealing element or extra thick area on the outside. We just get a typical flat, cylinder-like form factor without any additional shapes. The patch surface on the inside seems to be almost the same, if not completely identical as on the GBB version. It's a concave shape, which I like to call small R-hop style, because the outer edges of the patch surface do not rest on the inner barrel's window, unlike the Maple Leaf Mr. Hop, for example. Now I'm curious if it will continue the successful story of the original Flamingo, as it seems to follow the very same concept actually, just transferred to the AEG platform. To give you a little better context, here's a quick look on the replica I use for my test. As always when checking out AEG buckings, it's my good old Lonex M4 you already know from several other videos. As an inner barrel, I use a ZZL1, which is 363mm long and has an inner diameter of 6.02mm. My HopUp chamber is made by Retro Arms, a very simple but reliable chamber in the rotary style. You see, I ran the Quantum bucking in the M4 since I did the comparison video of 12 AEG buckings 1.5 years ago. It has been my personal favorite ever since. Let's see if the Flamingo will change this. The ZZL inner barrel comes with a large window for the HopUp patch, fitting modern buckings without any effort. Only the Bugatti buckings with a 7mm patch surface are a little too long, but for the Flamingo it's just perfect. Also, the concave tensioner I use for the test is the plastic one by Retro Arms. Because there was no tensioner coming with the bucking and no further instruction which one to pick, I thought this one could be a good match. You notice I did not apply any sort of grease on the bucking here. I later will learn this was a mistake. But we will come back to this after the shooting test. Interesting, in this HopUp configuration, the HopUp patch comes down inside the barrel quite far, even on the minimal setting. This will lead to very aggressive hop probably, so if you would like to play lightweight BBs, such as 0.25 gram or something, you would want to install a tensioner that pushes down the HopUp patch a little less. Alright, I think we're finished here. Time to check what this bucking can do. We'll meet again outside on the range. Before testing the accuracy and BB trajectory, let's check the consistency of muzzle energy, which will give us a good indicator of how tight the air seal of the Flamingo is. A maximum deviation of 0.02 joules over 10 shots is a really good result, especially when talking about AEGs. Clear first finding, the Flamingo does a good job in terms of air sealing. To get a first impression of the trajectory, I shot this tree over there freehanded, using 0.32 gram BBs. The HopUp setting was set on minimal, so you see there's a lot of potential for lifting heavier BBs. On lighter BBs, however, in this setup, you will get instant overhop, so as I just mentioned, a smaller tensioner would be needed. The trajectory looks just as it is supposed to be. A straight fly path with a slight jump in the last quarter. This is how it is shown in so many illustrations out there for perfect hop. The groupings on this tree also look very promising. But let's get a little more into detail here. This old computer housing on a chair is placed about 50 meters away from my shooting position. I will give it some sequences of 10 shots each, so we can count how many actually will hit the target. Approximately the same size as a human chest, probably. If you ask me, this is a quite competitive result, considering some BBs also hit the grass and therefore were deflected from the target. The next challenge will be the measured grouping on 25 meters. While I attach the piece of paper, please note you should not directly compare this to the findings in my other videos. The distances, weather conditions, and also the parts of my build slightly differed with each video. What you can get out of this is a good feeling and first impression of how the Flamingo can perform in overall good conditions and a matching surrounding setup, but no fair comparison to the other buckings I tested, telling the Flamingo is better or worse than the Quantum, the True Sight or other buckings. Sorry for the bad quality of light here. Recording BBs in the shadows in front of a brighter daylight setting is no good idea. The grouping result on the paper tells us a lot better where the BBs actually hit. After having the grouping measured, we see a spread of 8.5 centimeters in width and 7 centimeters in height, giving us a value of 15.5 centimeters in total. We see no major vertical or horizontal deviation here, as on some other buckings in previous tests, which is a good quality indicator for me as well. So far, my impressions of the Flamingo AEG bucking are still positive. But there is one aspect that makes me a little bit skeptical, or let's say where I see potential for improvement. Let me explain. Remember when I told you I did not apply grease on the bucking before installation? Well, you usually do this to reduce friction in the installation or uninstallation process, to avoid fitting issues and, here is my point, damaging the material. Because I installed so many HopUp buckings over the years without any major issues, I became a bit lazy and did not apply grease on the Flamingo. Well, this mistake resulted in some serious fissures and ruptures in the bucking material when I wanted to change back to the Quantum bucking. You see, there were overall 5 damaged points on the bucking surface. 5! After one wrong installation. So, be aware to always use some lubricant on your bucking, at least when pairing it with a retro arms chamber. Maybe it is better with other chambers out there, but I think the material is kinda fragile and prone to getting damaged. If you guys from Sniper Mechanics see this, maybe this is something you could improve in the future. Even if it was technically my fault when I did not apply grease, I have to admit. I told you, after testing the Flamingo AEG bucking, I went back to the quantum bucking for my Lonex M4. But why? It's definitely not because of the shooting performance or the FPS consistency. Not at all. Those were very close to the top performing buckings I have tested in the past, and in this aspect, the bucking is a clear recommendation from my side. But considering the fact that in my personal setup, the Flamingo has to be set on minimal hop for shooting my preferred AEG play weight of 0.32 grams straight, and the additional problem that my bucking is damaged now by my own fault, I will keep shooting the quantum bucking for the next months. And what's about you? Have you already tested the Flamingo bucking for AEGs? Or will you try it soon? If you like, tell us in the comments what you think. As always, I give my best to answer in a short time. So long, have a good one.